Hi, and welcome to another Dech Academy video. Here I have question 13, which says if half x plus 2y is equal to 3, and 3 over 2x minus 2y is equal to 1, find x plus y. In other words, you've been given two equations, you've been involving two variables, and you've been asked to find the result of adding the two variables together. So the first thing I'll think is, imagine if I knew x and I knew y. I'll just add them together and I'll have x plus y. Done. And this question is basically the solution of simultaneous equations in disguise. 3 over 2x. If you wrote this question in this form, I said find x and y, it'll be more obvious that it's basically the solution of simultaneous equations. So how do you proceed from here? You have two equations and you have two methods available to you. You have the method of substitution, which I prefer, and you have the method of elimination. I don't know which to use. I could use both, but let's see. Let us use the method of elimination. So, because that's easier in this case. Well, okay, both of them would be. I think it's easier in this case because if you look here in equation 1, you can see 2y, and if you look at equation 2, you can also see 2y. So because you have two terms, you ignore the sign. Because you have two terms with the same component, you have 2y and 2y, you don't worry about the signs. When you have situations like that, elimination is easy. Then substitution. So what I'm going to do here is add equation 1 to equation 2. Why am I doing that? Because I know if I add, when I'm adding the two equations together, I'll do a left hand side addition and a right hand side addition. And when you're adding them together, 2y minus 2y is 2y minus 2y, which is 0. So it cancels out. And that's the elimination component of this. So I'll just show you that here. Let's do a left hand side addition. So it's always advisable to do the left hand side addition separate from the right hand side addition. At some point you'll be able to do both of them at once, but let's go. So left hand side addition, we have from equation 1's left hand side I have half x. Let me just show you here, half x plus 2y. So that's from equation 1, and we're adding that to the left hand side of equation 2, which is 3 over 2x minus 2y. So what does this give? Well, let's rewrite it out as this and group the like terms. So terms involving x are grouped together and terms involving y are grouped together. So half x plus 3 over 2x is 4 over 2x plus I'll just, some people might be confused about the addition. Half x is the same thing as half times x, right? So half x is x over 2. 3 over 2x, same thing as 3 over 2 times x. That's same thing as 3x over 2. Okay, so now I have 2y and minus 2y. Notice how they cancel out because 2y minus 2y is 0. That is the elimination here. We have eliminated the variable y from considerations for now. So all I have to worry about is adding x over 2 to 3x over 2. They have the same denominators, so all you have to do is just add the numerators or carry out the operation here, which is addition on the numerators, to give x plus 3x, which is 4x, divided by the same denominator, which is 2, because the original fractions had the same denominator. I've mentioned this approach in my previous video. So if you started from my first video to this one, you know what I'm talking about. This gives 4x over 2, 2 here 1, 2 and 4, 2, gives 2x. So that's the result of the left hand side addition, 2x. Keep that in mind. For the right hand side addition, you simply have 3 from equation 1 plus 1 from equation 2. 3 plus 1 is 4. So I'm not even going to bother working anything out. So all we know is when you add equation 1 and equation 2, what you get is, as your left hand side result is 2x, and what you get as your right hand side result is 3 plus 1, which is 4. So let's look at this again. So you have two equations and you're adding them together. You have this term, which is equal to this term. You have this term, which is equal to this term. So I'm adding this to this, and I'm adding this to this. I'm essentially doing the same thing to the left-hand side and right-hand side. So the equality remains. Let me say that again. In the left-hand side addition, you're adding this to this. You're also adding, for the right-hand side addition, you're adding this to that. But this is the same as this. So in other words, what we're doing to the left-hand side is the same thing we're doing to the right-hand side. We're adding the same thing to the left-hand side as we are to the right-hand side. So that means that the result of the left-hand side addition must be the same as the result of the right-hand side addition, because what we've done is, okay, I think I should just use another example here. Imagine you had an equation A plus B equals, let's do it this way. A equals B. I have another equation, x equals 1. Okay, let's add these equations to each other. Let me call this equation 3 and equation 4. Let's add these equations to each other. So I'm digressing away. Okay, so we do the left-hand side addition, and we get a plus x. So left-hand side, a, left-hand side, x. We add them together. And I'm doing the right-hand side addition, and I'm getting b plus 1, which is b plus 1. So I'm saying that by adding, okay, let's look at this right-hand side addition as well. So we're having a plus x, but x is 1, right? From here. So I might as well write a plus 1. So what do we have? We have a plus 1 equals b plus 1 as a result of the addition of both equations. So let me just make the transition clearer. I have a equals to b. I added essentially 1 to both sides. So I added 1 here and I added 1 here. I did the same thing to both sides. So the equality is maintained. It's the same thing as a sweets example. I have 3 sweets and I have 3 sweets. I add 1 sweet and I add on my left, I have 3 sweets on my left hand and I have another 3 sweets on my right hand side. I add 1 sweet to my left hand and I have 4. I add 1 sweet to my right hand and I have 4 on my right hand. So they're still equal, which is what we did here. Right here, sorry. Here. But it's just that because the complexity of the terms here can make what we just did not so obvious. So we have a left hand side, which is equal to a right hand side. We now add a term to the left hand side. We also add the same term to the right hand side, which means we haven't broken the equality, so the equality sign remains. But the only annoying thing here is that you're adding this to this and this to that, and it might be hard for some people to realize that, or it might not be so obvious, rather, not hard for some people, that 1 is the same thing as this. But that's what this equation says. Anyway, I hope that's understood, and we can move on. So from the addition, we got 2x equals 4. And we can simplify this. By dividing, we can derive a value for x, which is what our aim was. So divide both sides by 2 to give 2x divided by 2 equals 4 over 2. 2 here, 1, 2 here, 2. So therefore we have x equals 2. So if I go back to the beginning, remember, we were asked to find what x plus y is. Now we know what x is. We really do know what x is. We know x is 2. Now to find y, just pick any of the equations. So I could pick the second one. 3 over 2x minus 2y equals 1. So I could say from equation 2, 3 over 2x equals 3 over 2x, I can't remember, 3 over 2x minus 2y equals 1, of course. 3 over 2x minus 2y equals 1. I now know that x is 2, so let's substitute, or let's, just to avoid confusion, let's replace x with 2. We know that x is 2. Replace x with 2 in any of the equations you were given, to give 3 over 2 times x, or like I used to write, 3 over 2x, same thing as 3x over 2, right? So we write this as 3, replace x with 2, 3 times 2 over 2 minus 2y equals 1. Simplifying this gives 3 times 2 is 6 over 2 minus 2y equals 1, which is 3 minus 2y equals 1. So if you make y the subject of the formula, you will get the value of y, and that's the final piece to the puzzle here. So let's take 3 to the right hand side. So let's subtract 3 from both sides. Which gives 3 minus 2y equals 1 minus 3. 3 minus 3 is 0, so this goes away. So we have minus 2y equals 1 minus 3, which is minus 2. So y, divide both sides by 2. Divide both sides by 2. Or rather, divide both sides by minus 2. So that you can isolate y, because the coefficient of y here is minus 2, but you just want y. You would just want y on the left hand side. And that gives minus 2y over minus 2 equals minus 2 over minus 2. Minus 2 and minus 2 is 1. So you have y now isolated on the left hand side. Y equals minus 2 over minus 2 is 1. Anything divided by itself is 1. So we have x is 2, y is 1. Therefore, x plus y is 2 plus 1, which is equal to 3. And that's your answer. So if you remember, the aim of the question was to find what x plus y is. Not just find what x and y are, but what the addition of them gives. And that's 3. So thank you for watching my video.